What's up, everybody? So I have this old Dewalt 14.4 volt battery here. It's an iCAD battery and it won't take a charge anymore. If you saw the video I did on this, um it was 2 weeks ago or something. I tried to fix it, but it didn't work. I only got it to 10 volt, and because it's a 14.4 volt drill, it kind of needs 14.4 volt. And I was thinking about replacing the cells with lithium, but to do that, the lithium cells and the computer board for replacing these NiCad cells would have been about the same as buying the NiCads, but I didn't have a charger that I would be able to charge it once I built the battery, so I decided to just go ahead and buy replacement NiCad cells. Now some people may say that NiCad isn't as good as lithium, and those people either have been paid by the people who make lithium batteries, or they've never used a NiCad battery, because there's certainly nothing wrong with these NiCad batteries. Maybe they're big, maybe they don't run very long, but they certainly produce quite a bit of torque. And actually, it's not so much the battery, it's the tools that they used to make for these NiCad batteries are quite robust. There's nothing wrong with lithium, but there's nothing wrong with NiCad either. So I bought the NiCad cells. Now obviously, when you're buying these cells, you want to make sure that they're the same size as the ones that are in here. They're 22 by 42 millimeter cells, although some manufacturers sell them as 23 by 43 millimeter cells. These are the ones I got. Can you see that? Hold on. Whatever. They're electrons. They're called Electron NiCad SC 2000 mAh. Because this is a 2 amp hour battery, you want to get the 2000 milliamp hour. I almost bought 2200 milliamp hour battery cells. Luckily, I read the description before I bought them, because I realized the 2200 milliamp hour battery cells were a different size. That doesn't really matter because they were still the right voltage. These are 1.2 volt, but it'll just be easier to have the correct size. Obviously, you want to do this on a wood table, not a metal table, because you don't want to short these out, and you want to be very careful with them that you don't short them out, and you don't want to short out the ones in here either. So I just have an analog voltage meter. We're going to use that. And I bought 15 cells. I bought these from Amazon. I know I could have gotten them from eBay, but I bought them from Amazon because, well, Amazon, they were going to ship here in a couple days, and also it was from Amazon, not some seller on eBay. So you may be able to find them on eBay for cheaper. I paid about 30 bucks for 15. I bought 15 even though this only needs 12 because I have, well, I don't have, my sister has a small vacuum that uses these cells, and the batteries are wearing out. So you're gonna need some pliers and some wire cutters. I'm using my insulated ones. You may want needle nose pliers. Probably gonna want a screwdriver and a knife. And because these are all metal tools, you don't want to touch two batteries at the same time with them. For connecting the batteries, I just have a 25 watt soldering iron, I'm using the 25 watt instead of the 60 watt because heat wears these guys out. If you don't have a soldering iron, you can get these on Amazon for like less than 10 bucks. And also, this is just a analog battery tester. I'm sure you can get these on Amazon for like 15 bucks or less. And then I'm gonna use electrical solder. This is 60% tin. So now we're gonna open the battery up. This one takes number 10 Torx screws. Not takes, it has number 10 Torx screws. Want to keep these screws, of course, because you're going to be putting the battery back together. Then you just take the top off. Be gentle, you may have to wiggle it a little bit. Now obviously, because it's such a tight fit, you are going to have to solder the batteries, your new battery pack, into exactly the same shape. So there's the shell. So this is PC and ABS plastic. Put your shell aside. So, also not all batteries are the same. I know the Makitas have 2 batteries in the shaft. So, you definitely want to take pictures of this, just because you have to get it exactly the same. Now, you do want to figure out which one's the plus and minus. So I'm just going to really quickly find out which one's the plus and minus. If you have an analog meter or any electricity meter, if you mix them up, the wand will go backwards instead of forwards. If you mix the polarities up. I'll show you. So I've got the polarities mixed up, so then I just switch it up. Come on. And as you can see, there's hardly anything in this battery. So that means the front one is the plus. So I'm just gonna really quickly walk you through this. So really, we don't need anything out of this. The only thing that we need is this cap and see these 2 black wires on the side here? That is the heat detector. It tells you when your battery is full. It tells, not you, it tells the charger when your battery is full or not. So if that's damaged, you have to get a new one. You can't just replace the cells if this is busted. So you want to disassemble this because you want to get this piece out. So you probably also want to put tape or something on the top. I'm not sure what material you should put on the top. I'm going to try to just reuse what's on here. And also we are going to have to change this up slightly. I'll get to that later on. Just where the heat detector attaches to the battery. And again, on the bottom, I'm going to try and reuse this tape. So I'm going to put you on a time lapse, I think, of taking this apart. So I got the bottom off, got the top off. Now I just need to get this wire disconnected, the white wire, and the heat detector disconnect, or whatever you call it, disconnected. I'm not sure what you call it. So be very careful when you're in here. You don't want to touch two terminals, although because this is the dead battery, yeah, it's probably not going to really matter, especially if it reads 0 volts. So I'm just pulling this apart now. I'm gonna try and salvage this wire, so that's why I'm pulling it off and not just cutting it off. So I may have to cut it off. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna cut it off. Well, let's see if I can get it off. There we go. Now I clump the batteries back into the original shape because I don't want to lose the shape. So here's our top piece. And here is our battery, the top battery. We'll come back to this. So, because this doesn't have any stick left to it, and I'm just going to duct tape it on anyway, I'm just going to clean all this crud off the back of it. I'll do that off camera, just so I don't take up your time. So here we have our pack. Let me just check something here. Okay, I have no idea how to tell. Okay, so I think this is the beginning of the negative right here. And this is the beginning of the positive. I'll have to check that. Probably gonna put you on a time lapse of assembling all these. Throw them on the floor. These new batteries. But I have to figure this out first. I'll show you once I've figured it out. So after using my voltage meter, I determined that this is minus and this is the plus. So we're going to build it on that, but first we are going to disassemble this thing. Now this you have to be careful, because if you wreck this you probably aren't going to be able to get a new one unless you can find another battery to salvage. Use a screwdriver or a pair of pliers, whichever you prefer, or just maybe you can just wiggle it off. Yeah, you can just wiggle that off. So yeah. The minus goes on this battery. The minus is on top. I'm just gonna check that. And by the way, I'm not 100% sure if I've got the polarities right on this. When I start assembling it, I'll give you the correct polarities. Now we want to get this little tab off. I could probably just melt that off. But why do that when I could just pull it off? Move it away from the camera. Yeah, and wear safety glasses while you're doing all this stuff. Be careful with the knife. Okay, time for the screwdriver. Where's the hammer? Just take my mallet. Well, it snapped, but that doesn't matter. We've got our heat detector thingamabobber off. Now let's get the... Hold on, just want to take a picture. Or 3. I'm gonna try and get this guy off. Nope, not happening. I'll just have to find something else to do that with. Just pull that cap off. That was easy. I'm gonna reuse that cap. Still don't know which is plus and minus though. It's a bit disturbing. Like I have an idea, but I don't know exactly. This is interesting. Down here, looks like it was a bit melt. Anyway, I think now I'm ready to start assembling my batteries again. The new batteries, of course. These guys. These guys come with the whatever you call these things, the strips already in place. But looking at the difference in the size of strips, maybe I should be pulling the strips off this and putting them on this. I don't know. I'll have to go have a look at that. But yeah. So, I've got them in the case. I'm going to solder them in the case. Made sure they are identical to this pack. I pulled all the tabs off the plus side, and quite frankly, I don't think these tabs are very big. Compared to these guys, they're rather small. Pulled all the packaging off. We're gonna start soldering here. So I'll just show you what it looks like. Obviously I need to check that they're all in the right orientation. So it starts here and ends here. Obviously the plus is underneath. So it fits in the case good. So I'm now going to get the soldering, and I'll show you that in a minute. So my soldering iron is warm. You don't want to have the soldering iron on these guys for too long because heat destroys the battery. So we start here, and we're going to start by soldering this one to the next one. But we are going to look under here and make sure that this is in a spot so that I can solder it to this one. You may want to get in there with your screwdriver and help hold things together. Thought it was warm. But anyway, you get the idea of soldering, I'm sure. Another way would be to show you the other way, which may in this case very well be the better way. Put your dab of solder here. I know I'm spending way too long on these batteries. Shouldn't have the soldering iron on them that long. Then we just go here and put it on the back. It's probably the better option. Hands don't normally wobble this much until I'm doing something that needs to be precise like this. And yep, that's hot. Look at that great big chunk of solder on the back there. Well, anyway, you get the idea of how to solder. I'm gonna need help putting these together. So I'll be back once I get the top soldered. So to do this part, I'm gonna take a battery. Oh, here we are. And I believe you put this on the negative terminal. I'll just check really quickly here. Well, if there was something in the battery, it might help, but okay. Yes, you put this on the negative. If you aren't sure which is the negative, and it doesn't say positive and negative, this is the negative, this is the positive. So then you're gonna take this, have to do some thinking here first. Yeah, because this battery is wrapped, so I can't very well go sticking this thing onto the side of the battery. Although, maybe I should just unwrap it. Nah, we aren't gonna do that. So you're gonna need to sneak it. Let me just have a look in here. Yeah, in order to connect this up properly, you're gonna need to sneak it up into this, connect it onto the negative. I'll have to do that off camera and I'll be back in a minute. So I did just peel the casing off. So I just need to check where this thing sticks on. Okay, so about there we want it. Just gonna put it in the vise over here. There we go. I put tape in the bottom of the vise so as not to touch any metal with the vise. Plus also my vise has rubber grippers on it, I guess you'd call these things. I'm just gonna grab the, oh, I've unplugged it. So we might as well just check this again. So it goes in like that. Just grab soldering iron. Is it hot enough yet? Yeah, it's hot enough, alright. Of course, I hadn't really ever done soldering before, like I've soldered some things, but today these batteries are giving me a real challenge with the soldering. I don't know why, but they just are. Trying not to melt the plastic. Come on, stick, please. Okay, we're gonna do it this way. Definitely have to say, soldering these batteries is a pain in the butt. Much rather have a battery welder, and it turns out they're only like 60 or 70 bucks or something. So next time I do this, if I ever have to do this again, which probably will at some point, I'm definitely going to be buying a battery welder. Then as soon as it does stick, it's in the wrong spot. Just gonna let that cool down. And where's the paper towel? Oh, no, they're out. Only reason why these are not soldering is because of these silly little tabs. Like, if I had nickel strips, I would have just gotten rid of these and done it properly. Clean up all these solders, I'm probably going to get out the grinder, not the grinder, the Dremel, the good old rotary tool. So you can see I've got it all wired up. It reads the correct voltage. I did put some tape around the edges just to hold it in place while I was soldering. And actually, next time if I have to do this, I think I'd glue the cells together in the correct way with hot glue before I soldered them. I think that would be a lot easier. So we see I did replace, where'd it go? Come on. Well, anyway, I replaced this part with just a piece of regular copper wire. Now I'm ready to put it back together, but I just need to realign this, so I'll be back. So we've got it back together. Doesn't quite fit, but it'll be alright for the drill, I think. I may have to go back in later and adjust it, but I hope not. Now I just need to screw it back together. So because these screws are into plastic, you have to turn them back until you hear the click before you start turning them in. But yeah, it does work. Took a little bit of figuring out, and if you have patience, you'll figure it out. It's much better than getting grumpy at it. I just realized I forgot a piece. Bummer. Well, it would explain why this isn't sitting high enough, so I have to swap that. I'll be back. Well, it works. I don't know if it charges. I'm sure it will. And quite frankly, that sounds a lot better than the other older. Well, it's not old, it's just, this is a nickel hydrate metal. I'll have to do a few holes. Be right back. I didn't really get it to sit properly, so I'm gonna have to play around with that. I'm gonna leave that for tomorrow. I'm gonna let it cool down overnight. And I almost think these new cells might be a bit lighter than the old one. Just grab a hunk of wood here. So all NiCad batteries are probably going to be pretty similar inside. I didn't film playing around with it because I had to redo quite a bit of it. I've never done anything like this before, so for the first time I don't think it's too bad, but let's just test it. We're going to use the no-name replacement nickel hydrate metal first. Oh, it's full of holes there. That's the NiCad. I mean the nickel hydrate metal. So here's the one I just made. Really? That stuck? Forgot that falls out. Hold on. Just need to get something that will be able to take it out. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to make this fit better. Let's just... As you can see, quite a bit more torque, and this hasn't been charged. And it's very hot, because I've just finished soldering it. So, thank you for watching. This video is done. As of now, I may very well film finishing this battery off tomorrow. I don't know, but anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. And also, I did change my name from Tool Business to Tool Reviews and Restorations. I think that's what it's called now. But it's the same channel, of course. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. So to make it fit, I'm just grinding all these little tabs out at the top shell with a Dremel. Obviously you want to clean this up with a knife and blow it off with an air compressor. Also, you need to make sure that this solder right here is flat. All the solders you should make sure are flat as possible, and if you have a battery welder, use that. I believe you can make a battery welder with a car battery. Also, on eBay or something, I found some battery welders that were only like 70 bucks. And this thing, the heat detector, which is these two little black wires, you want to tape the end of that to one of the cells in the middle. Just using electrical tape or something. Maybe you should use Scotch tape. So this does work. Obviously, you could probably replace these cells with nickel hydrate metal if you wanted to, instead of using nickel cadmium, although there's nothing wrong with the nickel cadmium cells. They seem to work alright. And I'm not sure if you could put lithium cells in here because of the design that this battery has. There isn't enough space. There isn't enough open space to put the computer board. I think there's enough space for 418/650 cells, but not enough for the computer board. Whereas the Makitas and even the Bosch, I think there would be enough room for the computer board in here. The Dewalt have it set up so that it's squished in the middle. So now I'm gonna put it back together, and hopefully I can get it to sit properly. Now it's very important that it does sit properly because the clips are on the bottom here, so you have to have this flush with the top of this so that these clips will clip into the drill. So rather than putting this in the bottom because it's too thick, just put electrical tape across the bottom of all the batteries.